Welcome in, everyone, to the Week 10 edition of the Next Game, New Game podcast. Back in Trillo, Alex Kozora here with you. No Tyler DeGiacomo or Ian Hunter this week, so Alex, just you and me again. You're stuck with me once again.
Story of my life, Trillo. Story of my life.
I won't continue singing that song because, yeah.
I wish you wouldn't have started singing. Anyway.
I don't know why everybody was like a One Direction hater. I think their music was pretty good.
Yeah, I never really hated them, but I don't know. Did you actively go ahead and listen to them though?
Yeah, I would listen. I don't actively listen to them as much as I did, but you know, when those two songs were like on the top of the charts, you know, I was listening to them.
Yeah, that sounds about right for you. Makes sense. Story checks out.
Yeah, and I promise.
For someone that's again in a bathrobe right now, yeah, I can see.
You know, we were just talking to my wife about this before we started recording this. I think you're all just bathrobe haters. It's nice and comfortable. It keeps you warm and cozy. You know.
I don't know how many people have to tell you that you're wrong until you realize that you're wrong about your bathrobe habit. But what a trooper!
And I promise, no more interruptions. That unlike last week.
Yeah,
I apologize for that.
You just bailed on the podcast. Like you got a phone call, and then you picked up your computer, and you moved to the other room, and then you were gone for like 10 minutes. And,
yeah.
The fridge is fixed though.
Yes, the fridge is fixed. It's all good. We got our stuff back together. Everything's all good now. I promise.
Do you seriously call it the fridge? Is that just a term you use in day-to-day use?
Whatever. It's the refrigerator, the fridge, refridge.
I've heard fridge. I've heard refrigerator. I've never heard refridge before. Yeah. I didn't know that was a East PA kind of.
I don't think it's really an East PA type thing. I think everybody, some people do. I don't know. I just like to mix it up.
I've never heard it before. You were the first time in my 24 years. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It just caught me off guard because I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, the refridge.
The refridge. All right, I'll
It's not my own lingo. I promise. I have a lot of things that are my lingo, but that's not it. At least to my knowledge.
Your special Catrillo way. All right, let's talk some football.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. And before we get going, before Thursday night kickoff gets going, we're obviously recording this on a Thursday night like we normally do. Getting ready for kickoff. Big NFC West battle. Seahawks taking on the Cardinals. Cardinals survived the 49ers, and that shows you where they are right now. The Seahawks trying to bounce back from a tough loss at home to the Washington Redskins. Alex, what do you think on this one?
Trying to think here, which way I want to go. Seattle, Washington, you said, right?
Yes, this is in Arizona. Seattle lost to Washington last week.
Yeah, Seattle, Arizona.
Yeah.
At Arizona. At Arizona. You know, the Cardinals, that offense is just such a nothing right now. You know, with Drew Stanton leading them. They don't have David Johnson. I don't know how they weather that storm. I know the Seahawks are hurting in some pieces too. No Earl Thomas, and I think that's official now as of this recording. But, what Seattle's able to do, the points are able to score. Arizona's not going to keep up.
Yeah, I like Seattle too. I think rather comfortably, actually. Just even though they don't have Earl Thomas in this one, just there's literally nothing offensively for Arizona to try and move the football. So I'll take Seattle to take care of business in this one. But it's an offense that continues just to make my head spin each and every week. It's literally just Russell Wilson carrying this team right now. But either way, I still think they get it done against the Cardinals tonight. Next game, new game, with the Eagles on the bye this week. The Steelers coming off the bye, taking on the Indianapolis Colts, who now have no defense after they let go Vontae Davis after he was put on IR. He's going to be having that season-ending surgery. And Andrew Luck now officially done for the year, though Jim Irsay says, quotes, the injury is in his head now. So I don't know what to think anymore in Indianapolis, Alex. But I do know one thing, and that is Antonio Brown's going to go off, and the Steelers may put up 50 or more points in this game.
Well, they have yet to put up 30 in a game yet, so I'm not ready to proclaim
this is true, but I think they get this done rather comfortably this week.
I mean, I hope so, but Steeler fans, like myself, know that it's rarely comfortable, and it's just always close games when they shouldn't be. I think the Steelers are going to win, so let me get that pick out of the way. Pretty obvious one to make, and I now saw that T.Y. Hilton's on the injury report with a groin injury, basically their lone offensive weapon, and the biggest threat that I'm worried about because they like to put Hilton in the slot. Get matchups on the nickel corner, and the Steelers aren't going to shadow like other teams do, so that could be an issue. But if he doesn't play, then takes care of itself. Anyway, long story short, yeah, Colts are a dumpster fire. I'm taking the Steelers. Are the Colts the biggest mess in football right now? Is it still Cleveland? I mean, they're vying for last place.
I still go Cleveland, but I think your three dumpster fire teams right now are Cleveland, Indy, and the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Giants, from an organizational standpoint, up top, I know McAdoo's, going to get fired. They're probably right there, but I don't think the Giants are in the same category as the Colts and the Browns, because I think from an ownership standpoint, those teams are just.
Oh yeah, I totally agree there. But just in terms of this season, yeah, I think those are your three. But yeah, no question, the Colts and especially the Browns, they're in a whole other league than where the Giants are right now. The Giants are just going through a rough patch that they rarely go through. But these teams like the Colts and the Browns, much different story.
Sure. All right, so Steelers for both of us.
Yes, definitely Pittsburgh rolling in this one. Next game, new game. This is going to be a very interesting game, Alex. Those Washington Redskins coming off the big win in Seattle, hosting the Minnesota Vikings. It will be Case Keenum at quarterback, but it could be his last start as Teddy Bridgewater, now on the active roster, Sam Bradford officially put on IR, done for the year. I think he could be done for his career, quite frankly, but that's another topic. But, Alex, I really like the Redskins in this game, and they've been a tough team to kind of figure out this year. I think it starts at quarterback, but Kirk Cousins playing really well right now, and the deep passing game that I thought could have been a big threat for the Redskins this year is starting to come in fruition. And yes, I know they got a lot of injuries right now, but they found a way to play through all that and pull off a big win in Seattle. That can turn their season around. I think this could be a playoff team that you maybe don't want to face if they get into that position. And I like the Redskins to win on Sunday. I really do. I've always loved the front seven that they've had. I think Ryan Kerrigan can have a big game. And like I said, I like what the Redskins are doing offensively right now. So I'm taking Washington at home.
Matt, you were absolutely right when you said Washington's a tough team to figure out. I think they're honestly probably maybe the most unpredictable and a hard peg down team in the NFL right now. I don't know if you agree with that statement or not. I'm going to go with Minnesota, though. I know that Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be there, but I think there's certainly a morale boost seeing him in uniform as the backup. I think the run games have been better than what I thought it's been without Dalvin Cook. I like that front four. And Washington, it's just they don't have a consistent receiver. Terrell Pryor's been a bust. James Crowder's been almost as bad. No one talks about him. I know Dawkins made some plays, had a big catch to beat Seattle last week, but Washington, their run defense is going to be hurt without Matt Ioannidis, who's likely going to miss a Temple guy with I think a broken hand. So I think they're just missing too many pieces. You're right that they've persevered. I think a lot of credit goes to Kirk Cousins, but I'm going to go Minnesota.
Right, and I definitely agree with Teddy Bridgewater being there. Just the presence certainly puts another spark in that room, but I just like the way Washington's been able to play right now at this point. Would I be surprised if they lose this game? No, I'm basically going to show a little confidence in them this week, see if they respond, and if not, then obviously we're back to square one and not knowing what kind of team they are at this point in the season. Next game, new game, the LA Chargers on the road taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This one's tough. Jacksonville's played. Are they the surprise of the year in the NFL? I know they had high expectations. I mean, what do you think, Trillo?
I didn't think they'd be in first place, but I thought they could hang around for a playoff positioning. But I mean, right now, I would say it's them and the Titans that have a shot are going to be battling out for the division right now. So I guess in that regard, not really. But I didn't think they were going to be there for the division because I thought Houston was going to be better. I thought Tennessee obviously was going to be a lot better than what they are right now.
Yeah. I just surprised me. You saw how bad Bortles was in the preseason, and him essentially was getting benched for Chad Henne, and we just figured this team wouldn't have the pieces offensively to make plays. But Allen Robinson gets hurt, I think week 1 tears his ACL, so I think they're right up there at least. I'm going to take Jacksonville this week because that defense is so strong, and secondary is arguably the best in the NFL right now with Ramsey and Boye and Barry Church and a couple other guys that they have there. So yeah, give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Jalen Ramsey. Of course, he got an A.J. Green's head last week, and you saw the fallout there. But yeah, I think Jacksonville's defense is going to force a couple of turnovers on Phillip Rivers and that Chargers offense, and I think the Jags offense will do just enough to win, and I will take the Jaguars in that one as well. Next game, new game. Speaking of those Tennessee Titans, they are hosting the Cincinnati Bengals this week, Alex.
Yeah, give me the Titans. The Bengals, again, have been a little bit better since that, awful first 2 weeks of the season. But I think there's just not enough there. They don't have enough identity in the run game. They don't have enough weapons on offense. I don't know how in the world AJ Green's playing in this game. He should be suspended, along with Mike Evans. But that's a different story. So, yeah, Bengals lose this one.
Yeah, I agree. I have no idea why AJ Green is playing. I mean, you see the flat out punches right off the bat and throwing him down, this and that. So I don't get that either. But I like Tennessee to take care of business at home too. We're talking about another dumpster fire team. Cincinnati's right there as well. So give me Tennessee to take care of business at home. Next game, new game. The Green Bay Packers coming off getting beat up bad at home on Monday Night Football to Detroit, going on the road to take on the arch rival Chicago Bears. Alex, what say you on this?
Oh, this one's tough. The Packers looked so bad last week. I know that Packers fans hate their defensive coordinator, Dom Capers. Hundley obviously was pretty bad. The run game sputtered. Aaron Jones has come back to earth to doing a committee with him and Ty Montgomery. Martellus Bennett has been released now. Claimed on waivers by the Patriots. No surprise there.
Of course, yes.
I don't know if it's an upset or not. I'm not even sure what the line is, but I'm going to take Chicago, though, because I think they have a good enough ground game. They have an identity. I think that's the biggest thing, both offensively and defensively. I don't think the Packers right now have an identity without Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I totally agree. I love Chicago at home in this game. And when I look at a guy like Brent Huntley, and if you can't find a way to make scoring drives consistently at home, then I have no confidence in you to go on the road and do the same thing, especially when you're facing a pretty good defense in Chicago that's quietly a top 10 defense right now. Sure, they have their issues offensively, but as you mentioned, they got Jordan Howard in that running game, and I think they're slowly starting to make that identity of more of a ground and pound and play defense, and I think that's going to win them this football game. So give me the Bears to beat the Packers at home, and the Packers will continue to head south without Aaron Rodgers under center. Next game, new game, Tampa Bay coming off a tough loss to New Orleans. Of course, no Jameis Winston now for some period of time as he's been shut down with that shoulder injury. They're going to take on a New York Jets team that's coming off a 7-sack performance last Thursday night against the Bills at home. Alex, do the Jets keep it going in this one?
I think they do, partially because Tampa Bay's been that bad, but partially because the Jets have been that good. Josh McCown's done a nice job. The front office has been open about bringing him back next year. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't know if this team's going to have Matt Forte, but even if they don't, they have McGuire, they have Lil Powell. They've shown it just enough, in the receiving game, whether that's, Robbie Anderson, I think, has kind of led that group. And defensively, they've gotten after it. That's maybe there's a surprise this year. I know the record's still not great overall, but they've been competitive in almost every game, I think, this year. Even New England, they took it down to the wire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you have to tip your hat to them. So they keep. I picked the Jets. I don't know if you heard that or not, Control.
Yeah, got the Jets. All right, there we go. So Alex likes the Jets. I like them too. Tampa Bay's just got a lot of locker room issues right now, and no Jameis Winston there either, who struggled this season. And Ian mentioned last week,
Mike Evans,
right? Mike Evans obviously too with the suspension. So yeah, I think the Jets keep it going on the road. I actually like what Josh McCown's doing. He's pretty much done the job that they needed to. The defense is playing pretty well, so I'll take the Jets on the road to keep things going. Next game, new game. Speaking of those Buffalo Bills, they're hosting the New Orleans Saints this week. The Bills undefeated at home this year. Obviously a big home test against the Saints that have won 6 in a row and 6-2 this season, trying to keep pace with the Panthers in the NFC South. Alex, do the Saints make it 7 in a row?
I think they do. That defense has taken leaps and bounds. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I think a big part of that is Marcus Lattimore, who, although he's just a rookie, may honestly be a top 5 cornerback in the league right now. I don't think it's a stretch to say that. They've gotten enough of the pass rush. They've plugged up some of the holes in the secondary that they just had no one there for years and years, and the offense continues to be a typical New Orleans Saints offense. And getting the backs involved in Ingram and Kamara, that AP trade, I know AP's doing well in Arizona, but that's probably the best thing that could have happened for that Saints offense, is to get rid of AP and not worry about giving him 5 carries a game and appeasing him and just letting Ingram and Kamara eat. So the Bills, they're a tough team to figure out. They've had good games. They've had clunkers. Zay Jones has been a disappointment at receiver. So many good ones.
You're right, Alex. Buffalo has been a tough team to figure out this year, and coming off that loss against the Jets, I obviously didn't see that coming. But I like them in this game. This is probably my big upset this week. And obviously they've been playing well at home, but I think they can get that pass rush and that defense can get after it against that Saints offense to slow them down, maybe get a turnover or two to kind of change things around. And I think Buffalo can possibly control the clock because they run the football a lot better at home than they have on the road this year with Shady McCoy. And that's how you can slow down that Saints pass rush, and then you can start opening things up to a Saints defense that, yeah, they've had a decent year, of course, creating turnovers and things like that, but they still have some holes in that secondary. So I think you can exploit some of those holes if you slow down that pass rush and establish the run with Shady McCoy at home. So give me Buffalo to get the upset this week. I think it could be a back-and-forth game because the Saints obviously playing really well offensively, but I like Buffalo in an upset this week.
All right, no, fair enough. I see the reasoning behind it.
So next game, new game, the Houston Texans on the road against the LA Rams at a 4:05 kickoff.
Yeah, this was pretty easy. I'll make it short. The Rams, that offense is first in the league, which is such a crazy statement to make. The Texans without Watson, we saw that with Tom Savage last week. They got to do something at quarterbacks. They probably won't, but they should. So, taking the Rams.
Yeah, just obviously that Texans offense just isn't the same, obviously, with Deshaun Watson. Tom Savage is simply not the answer. I don't know what you do with quarterbacking for them right now, but that's a tough road game in LA against that offense, which I've just been astounded with how many points they're putting up this year. So, and with Jared Goff's play overall as well, it just shows you what a little bit of good coaching can do. Shot at Jeff Fisher there.
For sure.
So I will take the Rams to move to 7-2 with a home win against the Texans. Next game, new game, your toilet bowl game this week. The New York Giants on the road taking on the San Francisco 49ers, looking to avoid falling to 0-10. They're already at their worst start in franchise history. Alex, do they finally get win number one?
Oh, man. I don't even have a reason to pick either team. I'm going to go with the Giants just because I think that run defense can be a little bit better. And I don't know. You hear the reports coming out with Ben McAdoo and how the team has basically quit on him. He's going to get fired maybe before the season ends.
I agree. I think that will happen.
Yeah, give me the 49ers because they have a coach that they're going to play hard for. And I don't think the same's in New York right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking San Francisco as well to get the first win. And I think the reports, as you mentioned, Alex, that they kind of confirmed that to me that this locker room is nowhere near trying to win football games right now. They're just trying to get their head coach out of there. When you see some of those comments, anonymous comments made by some Giants players to Josina Anderson and other sources from ESPN. So give me the 49ers, because when it comes down to it, in every game this year, yes, the 49ers have looked awful, obviously, especially offensively, but they're going to play hard and they're going to be ready to be ready to play each and every game. So give me the 49ers to win, and probably it might be a field goal fest, but I still think the 49ers will get the job done at home. I don't think, Alex, and I'll see if you agree, I don't know if the Giants win a game the rest of the year. I really don't.
It's totally possible. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Next game, new game, one of the bigger games this week. The Dallas Cowboys now officially, at least we think, but I can say that fairly confidently now, without Zeke Elliott, with the beginning of the 6-game suspension after today's ruling that he was denied again by the Second Appeals Court in New York. So he begins the 6-game suspension immediately starting this week in Atlanta against the Falcons. How does this go for the Cowboys, Alex? Do they still get the win, or does Atlanta finally break the schneid here? As they need to obviously get back on the winning track, having lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, you're right. Atlanta certainly has to get back on track. I'm not crazy about Atlanta this year. Obviously, I think that the record and their play speaks for itself. But I'm going to take the Falcons because not only are the Cowboys going to be without Zeke, they could be without Des Bryant, Terrence Williams. I believe Tyron Smith might not be able to go. I have some buddies that are Cowboys fans that follow the team really, really closely, and they're all pretty pessimistic about the outlook of this team right now. So if you're missing so many pieces, I don't think that Alfred Morris and Rod Smith and DMC is going to get the job done. So I think eventually Atlanta's got to come out of their shell, and no better week to do it than this Sunday.
I'm going back and forth a lot about this. Is the toughest pick I think I'm going to make this week, Alex. And if Zeke was playing, I was probably going to lean Dallas, despite the injury issues right now with Des Bryant and Terrence Williams not knowing if they're going to play or not. And you mentioned Tyron Smith, too. That'd be a big loss in that linebacking core. But Atlanta's a desperate team right now. They need to win this game. They're at home, and now with Zeke not playing, you just don't know inside the game planning structure of how this is affected. This is going to affect the Cowboys this week, and we'll see now how Dak Prescott handles this. It's a road game, too. So I'm going to lean Atlanta, but I'm not confident in this pick. But I think Atlanta's going to just find a way to make a play offensively late and win themselves a back-and-forth game. But I'm going to take Atlanta and settle with that for this week as they get a big win against the Cowboys. Next game, new game, Sunday Night Football this week. Two bad games in a row here for NBC. Well, I guess the Oakland game ended up being a good game in the game itself, but in terms of matchup, it's not great for the second week in a row as the New England Patriots heading up to Denver to take on the Broncos, who, of course, have all the struggles in the world right now after getting their butts handed to them by the Eagles last week. They've lost 4 in a row. Obviously, quarterback situation looks dismal at best right now for the Broncos, and I think New England's going to go in there and take care of business, even though Tom Brady has struggled in Denver in his entire career, but I think New England gets it done this week, Alex.
Yeah, you know the story there with what Denver's regressing to. Again, no quarterback play, so New England should have this one.
And then finally, next game, new game, Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins, and they're a mess right now too, especially on the offensive side of the football, taking on the Carolina Panthers who need to keep winning to keep pace with the Saints, as we've talked about before in the NFC South. Alex, do the Carolina Panthers get the job done at home?
Yeah, they do. It's crazy, Matt. It's been 8 or 9 games now. I think 8 games for the Dolphins. They've not scored a single rushing touchdown. That's
but yet you traded away Jay Ajayi for a 4th-round pick.
Right. Now I know Drake's provided some splash for him, but still, and Carolina's played really, really well. Cam Newton's had a bounce-back year. The run game's been strong enough. McCaffrey hit probably his best game running the ball last week. Secondary's doing enough, so Carolina wins.
Yeah, you know me, Alex. I'm not the biggest Cam Newton fan, but I have to give him and really the entire Panthers team a lot of credit with the way they played the last 2 weeks after that little 2-game lull they had, losing to the Eagles and then losing that stinker to the Bears on the road. And they really responded well, especially on that defensive side. That defense is really starting to get after the quarterback and playing well against the run, too. So I think if the Panthers continue this upward trend, they're a team you're not going to want to play again in the playoffs either. And I think they take care of business against a Miami team that's struggling in all phases right now. And who knows what locker room issues lie in South Florida as well. So I like Carolina at home as well.
Yep, sounds good.
Well, just you and me this week, man. So a little bit shorter this week. We get through all the games. Hopefully we'll have Tyler and Ian back this week. But always good to talk football with you, my man. Make sure you keep following Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora with Steelers Depot. Enjoy the game this week, Alex.
Thanks, Matt. Same to you.
And make sure you can follow the podcast on Twitter at NGNG_NFL. We'll have all of the latest show archives and NFL news and notes. And we are also on YouTube. You can find all of the show archives there as well at Next Game, New Game Podcast. Be sure to give us a couple of likes on all of our social media ends. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of the show. For Alex Kozora, I'm Matt Catrollo. Enjoy Week 10 of the 2017 NFL season, and thanks for listening to the Next Game, New Game podcast.